What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, and welcome to Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. A lot of news going on this week. Let's start off with a little bit of Nancy Pelosi. She did an interview, y'all. Why do they let babbling Nancy out? Why do they let nasty Nancy out? Michael Jackson should have made a song about her instead of Dirty Diana. It should have been Nasty Nancy. Anyway, so Nasty Nancy goes on George Snuffleupagus and has a little interview. Let's go ahead and recap a couple of her wonderful, well thought out responses.
Morning.
I want to begin with impeachment. You told your colleagues on Friday to be prepared to send the impeachment articles to the Senate this week. So will it happen this week? And have you settled on House managers for the trial?
Well, what I did say is I would be consulting with my members this week on Tuesday morning at our regular caucus meeting that we would vote to send them over.
Okay, first things first, we need to get the cotton balls out of her mouth. What I say is I've got to be beat by my people. The first thing, and I've got to sit they really got to clear her throat. She needs to hear, "Let me clear my throat." That should be her opening line before she even starts talking. George Snuffleupagus, "Let me clear my throat." But anyway, let's continue.
And we'll determine in our meeting when we send them over.
Okay.
But I've always said I would send them over, so there shouldn't be any mystery to that. What we did want, though, and we think we accomplished in the past few weeks, is that we wanted the public to see the need for witnesses with firsthand knowledge of what happened, documentation, which the president has.
So let me understand this. Nasty Nance is saying that they accomplished what they wanted to accomplish, which is showing us that we need witnesses. I don't know if that's true because, see, from where I am sitting, they had quite a few witnesses come. Remember, they had their witnesses vetted in the basement to make sure they was going to say exactly what they needed them to say. If anybody was refused some witnesses, it was the Republicans. Not to mention, if this wasn't such a rush job, you would have got all the witnesses you want. All you had to do is just go to court over it. But you and your crew chose not to. But now y'all want Mitch McConnell to hold up the show so that it can accommodate y'all. Now, honestly, I don't care about the witnesses. The only witness they can even try to bring in and might have some firsthand knowledge is John Bolton with the big walrus mustache. But nonetheless, I don't think he has too much more to add to it. Unless John Bolton is wanting to go out real bad and make up some stuff, I highly doubt he's going to come in and say everything y'all suggested or believed in was absolutely true. Trump told me directly that, hey, I want quid pro quo, and the only reason I'm looking into Joe Biden and Hunter is because they're going to help me in my election. I don't think John Bolton would come in and say something like that because I don't think the president ever said anything like that. Let's go to another part. Let's see what Nancy has to say.
Points Senator McConnell has made is that they're just following that he's going to follow the Clinton model, that you have a couple of weeks of presentations by each side, and then you have a vote on witnesses. It was 100-0 vote for that procedure back in 1998, 1999.
Exactly.
So why isn't it fair now?
It isn't the same thing. There are at least 6 reasons, and I could take the whole program.
Okay, this is the same thing. At least 6 reasons why. I could take the whole program, but I'm not going to. Okay, let's hear what her 1 or 2 reasons are.
Program going on how it is different.
What's the biggest
from the biggest one is that the witnesses were all deposed. You know, those witnesses that eventually came were all deposed. The president has not allowed the witnesses to be deposed for the House or for the Senate.
Okay, all right. So she's saying all the witnesses were deposed by the president. She probably meant decomposed. You never know with Nancy. I mean, her words and vocabulary is all jumbled up in her dome. But nonetheless, she's saying that the president deposed all of the witnesses that were being subpoenaed for this bootleg impeachment. Last I remember, the executive branch don't have to bow down to all of the shenanigans of the House and the Senate. So therefore, we have a process, Nasty Nance. If you wanted some witnesses, you should have taken it to the courts, won, and then brought in those witnesses. But no. See, they were under the gun, according to them, because remember, this was detrimental. We got to do this right away because we don't want the president interfering in the next election coming up. Let's continue. What else does Nasty Nance have to say?
That the president of the United States, again, quite different from President Clinton. President Clinton allowed the witnesses to come forward. President Trump has prevented that from happening.
Why not wait for the courts to rule?
Well, because it'll be how long do the courts take? We have confidence in our case that it is impeachable, and this president is impeached for life, regardless of any gamesmanship on the part of Mitch McConnell. However, that could still come to bear. But
so wait a minute. So it was really about just getting the impeachment done so you can go ahead and slap the title on him forever, just as a president that has been impeached. So you mean to tell me this wasn't really about an imminent threat to our democracy? You mean to tell me that this wasn't about stopping an existential threat to our whole way of life? You mean to tell me that all you want is just him to wear the albatross of impeachment around his neck and not to really remove him because he's dangerous to our society, to our country, and our way of life? Sounds a little bit like politics to me. Let's hear a little more of what Nancy has to say about some other things, too.
Impeach the president. There's nothing the Senate can do that can ever erase that.
Any second thoughts about holding on for 3 weeks?
No. We feel that it was has reached a very positive result in terms of additional emails and unredacted information that has come forward, that Bolton has said that he would testify.
Okay, so you're telling me that, first of all, she mentions that he's going to be impeached for life and there's nothing the Senate can do to erase that. Now, I don't know. I mean, if he gets acquitted in the Senate, that kind of validates the president and erases all this garbage. But nonetheless, I think she leaked out the main objective, which is to throw this title of impeachment upon the president for life, as she calls it. And hopefully that would damage him going into 2020. But what little does she know that it's like punching the Incredible Hulk. Every time you hit him, he gets madder. And when he gets madder, he gets bigger and stronger. So she thinks that she's accomplished her goal and objective, and she thinks some good things have come out, like the possibility of John Bolton testifying. Nancy, there's nothing that's going to help you with this debacle of an impeachment. Nasty done messed up. That's what she done did. Let's hear a little more of Nasty's testimony.
Subpoenaed by the Senate, other information that has come forward. And more importantly, raising the profile of the fact that we need to have witnesses and documentation. And if we don't, that is a cover-up.
Okay, so now they're setting the scene, because they know they're going to lose this. And they know that Mitch McConnell don't have to agree to some darn witnesses. So therefore, if you don't play by Nancy's rules, her quid pro quo, if you don't play by that, then the next narrative is they're covering up something. Covering up what? I just don't understand. See, here's what's getting me about this, for all of those people out there with possibly the bubblehead, the puppy brain, who is looking at this and going, yup. First things first, that was the worst cover-up ever. I'm just saying. I mean, the president allegedly got on the horn in front of all of these people around him. All of these humans just listening to the calls, sitting in the room. Hey, yes, this is the president of Ukraine. I want some quick pro quo. I need you guys to do me a favor to help me out in my next election. I need you to go and find some dirt on Joe Biden and Hunter Biden that doesn't exist already. Doesn't exist. I need you to go make up some dirt for them. Oh, guess what? You're not getting your money or your rockets or the support or a meeting. That's what I need you to do. Now, hopefully nobody's on this call listening, and hopefully no one's going to go out and say anything about this, okay? If you're listening, okay. All right, talk to you later once you get that done. Click. Then it comes out, and the president covers it up like this. Release the transcripts. Now, that's a cover-up, if I ever seen one. So you mean to tell me President Trump and all of his sly craftiness decided to just release the transcripts for everybody to read? What exactly are we talking about here when you mention a cover-up, Nasty? Please tell me. Let's continue with a little bit of Nasty's interview.
President Trump, literally 30 seconds before we came on there, President Trump sent out a tweet to me, asking me to ask you a question. We're going to put it up on the screen right now. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you see there right there, he calls you crazy Nancy, again, wants you to justify Adam Schiff's comments during the House hearings, and he says your hearings were unfair and biased. And this builds on what he did on Friday night. I want to show him on Friday night on Fox News.
She is obsessed with impeachment.
That's true.
She has done nothing. She's going to go down as one of the worst speakers in the history of our country.
Now, I absolutely concur with the president. And I think all of the voters that got them back in power is suffering from buyer's remorse. If they have any common sense, you put them back in power. What do? They blow it on chasing the president around for the last 2 years trying to impeach him and got absolutely nothing done except for a whole bunch of stupid bills that they put on Mitch McConnell's desk and they're whining about, we done a lot. It's just sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk. Nothing of any significance. Nothing that they knew Mitch would sign off on. Okay. They weren't trying to work bipartisanly. They were simply trying to go after Presidente. So let's see her response to the president's tweet.
Let me just say, it's Sunday morning. I'd like to talk about some more pleasant subjects.
As if she cares about church, y'all. As if she all did. Remember Nancy also. I'm so sick of the president. Don't be sad I hate the president. I don't hate nobody. You understand? I got love in my heart. I'm a Catholic. Let's hear the rest.
Than the erratic nature of this president of the United States. But he has to know that every knock from him is a boost. He's the president who said, I should have impeached George Bush because of the war in Iraq. And now he's saying, I'm obsessed. I held off on this because, frankly, I said, Donald Trump is not worth impeachment.
You did say that.
He's not worth it. But when he crossed that line on Ukraine, he violated the Constitution in such a way that could not be ignored. And
So what she's saying here, everybody, in her wonderful interview, her coherent interview, she's saying that Donald Trump is not worth impeachment. In fact, Donald Trump is, she said that she wasn't even thinking about him. She said it ain't even worth impeaching him, okay, until he crossed the line with Ukraine, until he asked about an obvious conflict of interest, something that looked very suspicious. But by asking about that right there was a violation. That right there was the tipping point. You mean to tell me you got the nerve to look at a scenario like Joe Biden and Hunter and him receiving all this money from a corrupt company and Hunter working on that board, and then his father asking to fire the prosecutor that his son is being investigated by? And you telling me you got the nerve to, that's going too far. That's going too far. Now we have to impeach him. All right. So that's what she's trying to get us to believe that tipped her over the edge. I think what tipped her over the edge is, hey guys, we have garbage candidates running against the president. It's not looking good for us. And he's getting a lot of results. And this is our last ditch effort. Right now, we got 2 seconds left on the clock with no timeouts in its fourth quarter, and we're down by a touchdown. This right now is either all or nothing. All right, everybody go to the end zone on 1, and I'm just going to throw it up and hope somebody catch it. That's what's happening, and that's why they're trying to impeach him. Let's hear a little more.
Be optimistic about the future, a future that will not have Donald Trump in the White House. One way or another, 10 months from now, we will have an election if we don't have him removed sooner. But
so guess what? She just revealed it. First of all, by any means necessary, we want this man out. Now, what she's trying to suggest by cleaning that up is, well, and we're going to have an election. Oh, so you're guaranteeing us in the next couple months when the election time comes that all of these people are going to vote the president out with wonderful results, or you're going to get him removed, one or the other. What I think, let me go into my magic crystal ball here. Okay. What I'm thinking is going to happen is y'all are going to lose the House and the Senate big time because people are able to recognize your shenanigans for the last 2.5 years and your lack of results. And that is going to put you guys in the minority to sit back on the sideline and watch real stuff get done. Sit down in the playpen and watch the adults work. That's what I think is going to happen. All right, let's close this out. A couple more things from Nasty Nance.
I think the administration has been straight with the American people about the reasons for taking out General Soleimani.
I don't think the administration has been straight with the Congress of the United States. When I was informed with the confirmation that the United States had taken out Soleimani, who is a terrible person. Let's not be confused. And the motivations of Iran are bad. So there's no question about that.
Now, right there, that should have been it. See, right there, she answered the question. Should he have been taken out? Absolutely. The man's bad, or Iran's bad. They don't like America. He's done a lot of damage. But I think a big but is about to come. Let's continue.
And again, with my intelligence background, I'm fully aware of the danger of Soleimani.
Right.
However, What we want to do is not escalate a war.
Okay.
When they called and told me, the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs confirmed that we were involved in this action.
Now, she said we don't want to escalate a war. So what you're basically saying is this guy's horrible. He's been wreaking havoc. So is Iran. And let's let him continue doing it, because what we don't want is to go ahead and make them even madder and to hate us more than they already do. See, we're trying to show them that we care, and we're going to win them over with love. We're going to win them over with passivity. We're going to let them continue to wreak havoc all over in the Middle East, attack our people, possibly kill Americans, and act like we don't see nothing. That's what you're telling me, Nasty Nancy? And they had you on the Intel committee. I'm concerned about your skills. I think, Nasty, you need to be replaced with somebody else. You shouldn't have been sitting there. All right, let's wrap this up. A couple other thoughts from Nasty.
And the chairs of the Intelligence Committee and ranking members, House and Senate, we had to keep it close.
Keep it close.
You had to keep it close. Well, we had to keep it close because we didn't want it to get out.
Okay.
What you're saying is you don't trust the Congress of the United States with sources and methods and timing.
Yeah.
Well, we had to keep it close.
But
And that's just not, that's wrong. That is wrong. And
So she's trying to say Trump is wrong because he didn't tell them about the strike on Solomon Grundy. And she said, because we got to keep it close. We got to keep it close, see. This is wrong. He won't tell us about all of his plans to kill Solomon Grundy because we the Senate, okay? That's just wrong. Let me tell you something. This lady and Shift, they have made it very clear to anybody with some common sense that they want to destroy President Trump by any means necessary. That would include letting a terrorist go free so Trump doesn't get credit for doing what the president is supposed to do. So guess what? I don't trust him either. If I'd have been in the room with Presidente, I'd be like, If he'd have asked me, Kev, do you think we should share this with Congress? Who? What, her? Nasty? Nasty and pencil neck? You kidding me, man? No. We'll deal with them afterwards. Now, let's close this out because, see, she has some thoughts about that airplane crash and the protest that's going on. Because remember, according to Nasty Nance and the rest of the left and the media, who pretty much is all one, this was supposed to escalate out of control and turn into millions of people being killed, our soldiers having to go to war, all of the things that they predicted, and the fact that Iran must hate us. All of their citizens have turned against us. That's what this must have turned into. Let's see what Nancy has to say about the response and the actions of what Trump did.
In the streets of Iran against the regime. Do you support those protesters, and would it be a good thing if they brought the regime down?
Well, the protesters are protesting, as I understand it, this brand of protesters about the fact that that plane went down. And many...
I see. So they're not protesting over the fact that their regime is a dictatorship and is buying all of these weapons instead of distributing the wealth and the money unto the people. They're not protesting about that. And apparently this is just a small group of protesters because, see, all of those ones that happened to show up and weep and wail over Solomon Grundy's death, they were the real bulk of the Iranian people who apparently must disdain and hate America and all that stuff. Those afraid protesters, those ones that probably was out there protesting by gunpoint. See, so what she's trying to do is downplay the severity and seriousness of these protesters so that it doesn't appear that what Trump did is appreciated by the Iranian people. That's what she's doing.
Students were on that plane, and these are largely students in the street. I think the Iranians should have not had commercial flights going off when there was...
They're calling out the regime for lying. They're saying death to Khamenei as well.
Yeah, well, whatever it is. But the fact is this, there were protesters in the streets before against the regime. After the taking out of Soleimani, there were protesters in the street joined together, as you know, against us. That wasn't good. Taking down this plane is terrible.
So basically what she's saying, everyone, in case you missed it, is the only reason these people are protesting right now is because an airplane came down. The only reason they're not stepping on the American flag or the Iraqi flag is because an airplane was accidentally shot down by the Iranian government. That's it. So what she's saying is all of these people were out there protesting before. Then when we she killed Solomon Grundy, they all came together. We united Iran, and they were all peaceful. All of those people who were somehow captured on video out there crying and weeping and wailing over Solomon Grundy, even after he killed, like, what, thousands of them that were protesting a little bit ago. Now they're out there weeping and wailing as our media contributes to the propaganda. Look at that. All of his people out there, they're just so brokenhearted over Solomon Grundy. I mean, this is showing how much he was just cherished as an Iranian and all of this stuff. And now this new group just simply are focused on the fact that they blew up a plane. Has nothing else to do with the regime. So they're wishing death to their leader, the supreme leader, because of a plane got blown out. That's what it is, all of that. They loved him up until this point. This made them say, man, this dude got to go. All right, I'm going to set aside all my hatred of America because that plane got blown up, and I'm going to turn completely on my country. Let me just say it like this. If America accidentally shot a plane down, I would be upset, but I wouldn't turn on my whole full-blown country. That's what wouldn't happen. So now what Nancy's trying to convince us of is that's what's happening, and that's not the case. Nasty is doing what she normally do. Be nasty. Let's continue. Last thing.
A question about the 2020 election and foreign policy again. Bloomberg is reporting this Friday the possibility that there's an investigation now on whether or not the Russians are trying to help President Trump and hurt Joe Biden. Again, we see that right there. U.S. poses Russia is targeting Biden in 2020 election meddling. The probe comes as senior U.S. officials are warning that Russia's election interference in 2020 could be more brazen.
Who are these people doing these investigations? I don't understand. It can't be our actual DOJ. Because, see, when you're getting up here telling me that the Russians, once again, is trying to help President Trump, who's harder on Russia and on countries all around, you got to be kidding me. See, now they would love for a Bernie or a darn Joe Biden to get in, sleepy, slimy, creepy, sloppy. They would love for an Elizabeth Warren and especially a Pete Booty, little petite Pete. They would love for somebody like that to get in. So who are these Russians we're talking about? Or are y'all already setting the stage for an excuse after you get your faces smashed in November? The Russians again. Let's hear what Nasty Nance got to say.
In 2016 or the 2018 midterm elections, how worried are you about Russian interference in 2020? Are we doing all we can
to
prevent?
Do it, Nasty.
No, and the President of the United States is in complete denial about Russia's role. As I have said, in terms of this president, all roads lead to Putin. He said he's not going to accept the assessment of our own intelligence agent that they were very much involved in 2016 election, that 24/7 now they are still engaged. He's trying to blame it on Ukraine and this silliness that has been debunked again and again, but he and his folks still keep advancing it. Everything that he has done, whether it's in Syria vis-a-vis the Turks, whether it's been in Ukraine in terms of withholding assistance.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut that crap. And she ends it by saying, and Mitch McConnell might be a part of this too. Now, this is McCarthyism as we see it. All of this garbage she's spewing out, talking about all roads lead back to Putin. So you've exhausted all of your false narratives about Trump throughout this whole process, and then you're circling it back around the wagons. Now we're back to Putin. Okay, let's go ahead, set the whole stage of saying, America, when we lose this next election, it's either going to be Putin and the Russians. And of course, we got to sprinkle in a little bit of racism. Yeah, remember that. That's coming too. A little bit of racism and a whole bunch of nationalism, because all of these suppressed, down low, white nationalists are going to surface all of a sudden and put Trump back in. It's going to be a combination between them and the Russians. That's what she's pretty much saying. So let's go ahead and get Nasty out of here, okay? Because I would love to see her lose the speakership. I definitely would love to see her go somewhere and sit down and retire. But what I would really like most is for her to finally clear her throat and get those cotton balls up out of there. If she coughed right now, this is what would shoot out. A full cotton ball. Talk about some, okay, this is all roads lead back to Putin, okay? Anyway, you've been listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. I had to dissect that. I had to check in and just give a little ear about what Nasty was saying and share that with y'all and give y'all my take on it. Anyway, you've been listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. Don't forget, check me out every Wednesday night live in Kevin's Corner on my radio blog talk show on Facebook and on the Twitter. hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, and the notification button. Okay, make sure you're still subscribed. Make sure your notifications are set to all notifications. And if you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link in the bottom. Check out Extreme Tees. Put Kevin in the promo code. You get a 20% discount. And finally, find me on Facebook and the Twitter. God bless.